Welcome back to Studio 10. Well, with his 85th birthday just 1 month away, one of the Labor Party's most successful and popular leaders, Bob Hawke, it seems, is making peace with his children. It was Bob Hawke's decision to leave his wife Hazel after 39 years to be with Blanche Del Puget. That sparked a family split that lasted almost 19 years. Well, today, the eldest of the late Hazel and Bob Hawke's 3 children, Sue Pieters-Hawke, sits down with Ita to offer some insight into one of our nation's most charismatic Prime Ministers.
Lovely to have you on the show, Sue.
Thanks for having me here, Ita.
You were very young when your father started rising through the ACTU and when he went into politics. What sort of a father was he?
He was, in many ways, when he was around, a very good father, loving, fun. We did things. We'd sort of head up the country or go fishing, or we spent a lot of time at the beach, barbecues. He was very convivial, so there were often other people around, often other trade unionists or people from the Labor Party or neighbours, so it was a convivial sort of time. But as I grew older and he got deeper into the work, he's famous for not having been around a lot. I think he was quite typical of his generation of men who weren't really expected to be hands-on fathers.
So your mother was sort of the father of the family as well as the mother?
My sister used to joke about sending her Father's Day cards.
Oh dear, oh dear. Now everyone knows what happened with the marriage with your parents. But in the beginning, I think it's fair to say your parents' marriage was very much a love match.
Oh, very much so. And I sort of knew that. I had memories from when I was young of the great bond and happiness between them. But as is inevitable, if strains appear in a marriage and you're growing up through that, it's those strains that tend to be more present and real for you. But it all got put into perspective for me 2 or 3 years ago when I researched and wrote Mum's biography and spoke to a lot of contemporaries of them, of Mum and of Dad, from when they met and through the first 10, 20 years of their relationship. And it was very much a love story with a lot of hopes and dreams and affection and sensuality, all those things.
And when they moved to the Lodge, when your father became the Prime Minister, they really both blossomed, didn't they? And they were very much a team.
Yes, I think so. I think it wasn't generally known, but I did mention in the book that Mum wasn't at all certain that she would make that move to the Lodge. But she considered it deeply, but she did. Not knowing at all what it would involve, but deciding to support Dad, not only personally, but what he was standing for and what he and his colleagues were hoping to do in terms of lifting the country.
And what was it like for you and your siblings?
Well, it didn't affect me all that much because I lived in Sydney and just lived a very normal suburban life and worked at keeping it that way, really. So we'd see Mum and Dad often. Either we'd go down to Canberra or Mum and Dad spent a lot of weekend time at Kirribilli, which was close to where we were living. And, so my kids knew Nan and Pop lived in these big houses, which we explained to them was temporary, at the elector's pleasure. And they loved their Nan and their Pop, and only as they got older did it start to have any meaning for them, what Mum and Dad were really about. For them, they were just a very loving set of grandparents.
Yeah, as we learn on Australian Story tonight, your father led the Labor Party to victory 4 times, which was a phenomenal feat.
Yep.
But not long after that, Keating challenged for the leadership.
Yep.
Your father lost, and your parents
lost the second challenge.
Yes, and your parents left the Lodge. And about 3 years later, the marriage broke up and Bob announced his relationship with Blanche. Now, that was very difficult for you and for the whole family.
Of course,
how acrimonious did things become?
Oh, things were... It wasn't so much that things became acrimonious. I mean, I think there was a lot of harshness between Mum and Dad in private as they thrashed their way through that. Because it was hard for both of them. It wasn't an easy decision for Dad to make, but it is a person's right to leave their marriage. I believe is how we view things these days, and I do believe it was Dad's right to do that. But none of us were very impressed at the time, you might say.
Difficult time
and
for
so it was
family.
difficult, and so, I mean, I like to put it in the context of the sort of experience that hundreds and thousands of families have when relationships change. Things are difficult. Your introduction had it a bit wrong. There was no rift for 15 years. It took 2 or 3 years, I think, roughly, of just grieving and letting things settle and then allowing new friendships to form.
And how are things now?
Good.
And we were chatting and you were telling me that it's quite lovely seeing two older Australians so clearly in love with one another.
It's really cute. Some people go, oh my God, but I think it's lovely. I'm happy to see my father happy. He and Blanche genuinely love each other, enjoy each other's company. There's a vigour in them as a couple that I think is very attractive.
And finally, your own health. You've been having your own battle over the last year, and I wondered if perhaps caring for your mother, who died of Alzheimer's disease and had a long battle against the illness, whether that stress might have contributed to the cancer that you have.
It may well have. I mean, it's ironic. I thought after last year, 2013, and Mum's death and that fabulous memorial for her and settling all those affairs, I thought, OK, 2014 is my first year of clear air for a long time. I was quite excited. Then in early January, I had a diagnosis of cancer. And I've really spent the year, apart from having treatment and getting completely rid of the cancer, I'm cancer-free, researching and implementing a whole change in habits and lifestyle. I've really been researching what is an anti-cancer lifestyle, just as in the time that we were at AA together, a lot of stuff came forward.
She means Alzheimer's Australia, not Alcoholics Anonymous.
That's right. I know, same initials confuse people sometimes. We were learning so much about what a brain-healthy lifestyle is, and really a lot of diseases which have this lifestyle thing in common means that it's time for us to be taking on anti-disease type lifestyles, and there's a lot of research out there now, and there's some very good stuff on cancer. So I'm feeling all renewed and
that's fantastic.
Like I'll have a much healthier older age than I might otherwise have had.
Well, you look fantastic, and I'm sure all of us here wish you all the best, and thank you very much for coming on. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Art, and of course Sue Pieters-Hawke for sharing some of those stories we all want to know so much more about.